everyone, welcome back. We are now 8 weeks out. It's getting very, very soon now. Starting to get a little bit nervous, but keeping it all under wraps because I'm finally starting to feel good. I got rid of my flu that's been lingering around for the last 3 weeks, so no more excuses. We're gonna get shit done now this week. I really, really hope you guys have enjoyed the past couple of prep vlogs, and thank you everyone that has been commenting on them. If you've been enjoying them, please give them a like and a subscribe so that I know you're enjoying the content and I can keep putting out more for you. So if there is anything you want to see in this series, then please be sure to comment below. So today, what are we doing? We are back in the gym. We are at Revo Fitness. Today we're in Northbridge, so the Northbridge location, which is probably actually my favorite location. So if you're ever in Perth, they are awesome gyms to check out. Little plug there, Northbridge and Scarborough are my two favorite gyms. But we're going to be talking cardio today. Obviously, I'm comp prepping, and a lot of people say you should do cardio, you shouldn't do cardio, you should do steady state, you should do HIIT. What is the best type of cardio from a fat loss standpoint and then also from a health standpoint? So I'm going to be showing you today a couple of different styles of HIIT training. So if you don't know what HIIT training is, it is high intensity interval training. Now there's a big difference between HIIT training and say circuit training or basic interval training, and I'm going to kind of delve into those a little bit later on today. So the biggest thing that I want everyone to understand when it comes to cardio is that cardio is a tool, but it does not need to be used. So what I mean by that is if you are getting really, really good results and you don't actually need to do cardio, then don't do it, okay? Unless it makes you feel good and it makes you feel fit and healthy and all of those things. But at the end of the day, if you're getting results from your diet alone and resistance training, then like, that is awesome. You don't need to throw cardio in. For me, unfortunately, I resistance train year round, so that means I need to change up a variable in my prep. So a variable, an easy one to put in is a bit of cardio. So at the moment, where are we at in prep, I'm basically doing for my cardio at the moment 2 kind of more HIIT based sessions a week. So one of those I'm doing on the spin bike, so I'll show you a little bit of that today, and then the other session I'm doing more of a sprint session on the treadmill. Then all of my other cardio that I'm doing at the moment is just steady state. It's not for too long. It's either a little bit on a stepper or walking on a treadmill. That's pretty much it. So it's not too much, but I know that I'm gonna have to actually ramp that up a little bit now that I'm better. The reason that I didn't do a lot the last few weeks was because I was sick and it was just making me feel worse. So especially HIIT, that is a big tip. If you are sick, the worst thing you can do is probably HIIT, high intensity interval training. Better off sticking to a little bit of LISS cardio if you do have colds and flus. So definitely keep that in mind as well. HIIT tends to really fatigue your whole central nervous system, whereas LISS isn't as taxing on your overall physique, on your muscular system, on all of that. So whereas when you're doing HIIT, you're actually utilizing your muscles more efficiently as well. It's not just going for a walk, you're actually using a powerful explosive movement. So again, there's different types of choices when it comes to HIIT. My favorite types are definitely the spin bike or an assault bike or aerodyne bike if you have one. They are probably the worst thing to do it on. An incline sprint on a treadmill, or you can go outside and sprint up a hill or sprint across a park. I don't really like flat running on a treadmill for HIIT. And then my other ones, potentially if you have any lower body injuries, the rower is also a great option when it comes to HIIT. And even a Sled or Prowler is another really, really good option for HIIT. So they are definitely my top ones. A lot of people will say to me, oh, I do like a ball slam or a push press or a thruster or something like this. It's not really HIIT, because if you think about it, when you pick up a ball and you slam it down, you're resting from that time that you go down to pick it up and stand back up. When you're performing HIIT, it's meant to be done for like 10-20 seconds max. Now, do you think that that's going to be that fatiguing, doing that for 20 seconds in terms of a muscular standpoint? Probably not, which is why we want to do something for HIIT that is actually pushing you for the entire 10-20 seconds where you're not actually resting. So that's why something like on a spin bike is really, really efficient, because the whole time you're pumping your legs, same with running, same with pushing a sled, even a rower. But like I said, things like ball slams probably a little bit less efficient. Another method wouldn't be too bad, might be battling ropes if you've got nice heavy ones that you can crank for 20 seconds. But this is kind of explaining why we want to do actual HIIT with those type of exercise and movements. Now, I think it's funny because a lot of clients, they say to me, oh, I'm bored with my HIIT training. What other options are there? And I'm like, to be honest, like, that's kind of it. You need to keep it pretty simple and also shock your body by increasing it either in an increment or a time duration the next week. So what I mean by that is, if you're in, say, a fat loss phase and you hit a plateau and you're doing your HIIT at the moment for 10-15 minutes of work time, and you're wondering how you can adjust your HIIT to get better results, all you do the next week is simply try to increase it in some way. It's like progressively overloading with your resistance training. You progressively overload with your cardiovascular activity. So let's say, for example, how I program for my clients with HIIT is I will generally say to them, you're going to do 6 rounds of HIIT. And what I mean by that is they'll do 6 all-out bouts of flat-out exercise for like 15-20 seconds, followed by a rest period that I'll designate to them. The more fit they are, I'll generally give them a little bit of a shorter rest. The less fit, I'll give them a lot bigger rest. So it might be anywhere from 1.5 minutes, 1 minute, all the way up to 5 minutes for some of my quite unfit clients who I want to really work nice and hard for that short period of time. And my male clients get more rest than my females. Now, I am not sexist. It is because girls naturally do recover a lot quicker than males. We have a better clearance of lactic acid within our bodies, if you did not know that. So it's not that guys are being lazy, it is a true fact that guys, it's actually harder for them, the lactic pool's a lot quicker. So guys will tend to need a little bit more recovery, and I've definitely seen that when I train with my partner Sean. He will be absolutely dying and he'll need a good like 2 to 5 minutes recovery between his HIIT intervals, and I'll probably need, when I'm exhausted, max 2 minutes, maybe 2.5, 3 at the most. And guys, the other big tip with recovery is that if you're not needing at least a minute and a half, doesn't mean that you're the fittest person in the world. You might be, but it just probably means you need to go harder on the interval. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but it's absolutely true. It just means you need to smash it a little bit more. Find the first couple of intervals, you might need a little bit shorter rest, but then once you get into them, you will really need that full amount of recovery if you are going at that high intensity level. So back to what I was saying briefly before about progressively overloading them. So let's say I started that client on 6 HIIT bouts a week for that block, and then they plateau and we want to increase it. So the next week I might just say to them, look, I want you to do the same, but now do 7 intervals. Or I might say, how long were your intervals? And they'll say 10, 12 seconds. I'll say, cool, push them to 15 seconds, but stay on 6. So you'll see that both methods are progressive overload, but we're just doing it in a very slow, steady fashion to make sure that we're optimizing the amount, almost like the minimal dose of cardio we need to do to get results. Because there's no need for me to go, okay, you did 6 last week, I want you to do 12 this week. That isn't necessary to get them a result. It might just be a small increase. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to do hours and hours of cardio. It is all about the effective minimal dose. And that is the same when it comes to nutrition, the same when it comes to training. It is all about the effective minimal dose. You want to make sure you're utilizing your time in the gym and you're not just spinning your wheels and burning yourself out and burning your metabolism out at the same time. So that is it. We're going to get into the gym and I'll see you in there soon. So I am about to show you an HIIT interval bout on the treadmill. I'm going to have a little bit of a warm up. So what I'll generally do is just walk for like 5 minutes and then probably jog for 5 minutes, maybe do a couple of stretches if I'm tight somewhere, and then pretty much get into my first interval bout. Now my quads are extremely sore from leg day a couple of days ago, so my intervals are probably not going to be as fast as what I normally do them, but I'll normally run on an incline of maybe 4 or 5 and sprint at about 19-20 k's an hour for around about 15 to 20 seconds. So again, build it up at your own ability. You need to work at your maximal capacity, not mine, because obviously we're all going to be different. There's going to be people out there that are way faster than me and people that are going to be more beginner to this. So make sure that you go within your capabilities. I would not recommend this form of HIIT if you have any knee injuries, any severe lower back injuries, or if you're quite overweight, it can be quite taxing on the joints. So I would more recommend probably our bike form for that. So I'm going to get into my warm up and then I'll show you an interval bout. Body's feeling, I'm already puffed. So I'm going to do my first interval bout. What I'll tend to do is bring the speed up first, let the treadmill start cranking up. It's probably not the safest way to do it. And then I use an app on my phone called Tabata, just like that. And you basically press play and it will start your interval. And that is what I'll basically be doing today. So as you can see, I can still talk and hold a rough conversation. That means it's too easy, okay? So we're gonna use that one as a warm up. I'm gonna have about a minute or so rest. Don't need a full rest because I didn't exert myself. What I'm gonna do, bring the incline up a little bit more. That'll make it harder. Speed up a little bit more. And I will really try to gas myself on this one. And you'll see if I'm able to talk on the next one. So Jackson will ask me how I'm feeling after the next interval. I should actually be feeling. Like I'm gonna break the treadmill. That's how you should do it. So that was about 25 seconds. So still a little bit long, but I was trying to just go till I fatigued. So if anything, I can probably bring the incline up a bit more, but it is my first couple. So you probably find that you fatigue after that. I need a 2-minute break now. So I did that on 20 k's an hour, incline 4. Probably bring that up to a 6 incline. And I'm gonna do 6 sets of that today on here. And that's gonna be it. As you can see, HIIT, small effective doses, short and fast. Again, if you're not efficient at running, use a bike. Use whatever you're good at so that you don't injure yourself for a start. And I guess I'm cheating because I used to be a sprinter, if some of you guys didn't know watching this, hence why running for me is okay. It's probably actually a little bit too easy, so what I now tend to do is actually do most of mine on the spin bike, which is what we're going to go show you now. So we've got a few different bikes in the gym. My favourite is the spin bike, which is this one here, because you can just easily bring the level up or down. You've got what I call the lazy bikes here, which you should be warming up on but not using for HIIT. And then you also in some gyms just have the normal exercise bikes, which are those ones there. So those are not too bad, but the good thing about this is you're able to change the level really, really fast. So as soon as you've done that 20 seconds, you can kind of drop it down. So yeah, I definitely prefer these over anything. Now, the other big tip with these is you got to get your seat height right, ladies, otherwise it's going to hurt your lady bits, okay? And nobody wants sore lady bits. So I know what number I'm at. I'm about a H. And then from there, most bikes will have a level on them. A little bit high. So most bikes will then also have this adjustable. As you can see that this is sitting down a little bit low. So you can just adjust this here. Now, in terms of the level, it does not matter as long as you are completely gassed by about that 10 to 20 second mark. I find that this fatigues me a lot quicker than what the treadmill does, probably because my quads are very weak. So what I tend to do is just keep the gear down nice and low, so I'm in like a 4 or 5, just roll the legs out. And with the bike, I tend to stay on the bike for my recovery and just drop that gear right down nice and low. Whereas with the treadmill, often I actually get off because it takes a while to bring the speed back down. So then all you're gonna do is crank that resistance up and then go sprint as hard as you can. And it needs to be an all-out sprint. And you'll see this probably gasses me a lot more than what the treadmill does. Definitely worse than the treadmill. That was like 18 seconds done. That was on a gear 16. So generally probably have anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes rest on this. I find that as I do more cardio, I obviously need shorter rest, but at the moment I'm pretty unfit. I'm only at the start of my prep, so I've only just started doing this style of training again. All right, so we're gonna go show you 2 more. Next one, we're gonna go on the assault bike, which is even worse. Okay, so we're gonna do our third method of HIIT today. I said we're gonna do the assault bike, but there doesn't seem to be one in here today. So, Prowler, okay? So, this sled, Prowler, whatever you wanna call it, this bad boy is a great HIIT tool. Now, if you're gonna do HIIT with it, you don't want it to be so heavy that it gasses your quads before it really gasses your body and your oxygen system. So that's the goal of HIIT. So make sure that it's heavy enough that obviously you need some momentum behind it, but it's not so heavy that you're pretty much lunging it down. You want to be able to get a fair bit of pace on it. It should be like a sprint for the first maybe 10-15 seconds, and then that last 5's a bit of a grind to keep it moving. If you can sprint at the same speed the whole way, then it's probably a little bit light, or you want to extend that interval. So the biggest thing with this that I really like is pretty much anyone can do it. It's very low impact. There's not a lot of loading on your knees or ankles as opposed to, say, the treadmill. So for my more overweight or unfit clients, and I say that in the nicest possible way, this is a really, really good option for them, because again, we don't get that loading and that impact on the joint. And that would be the same with, say, using a rower machine for a beginner. I would love that method for them. So my biggest ones for beginners or people with any severe injuries or carrying a little bit more excessive body fat and a little bit more weight, I would say would be your sled push, your rowing machine, your seated bike. For the more advanced, no injuries, anything like that, then you want to look more at the assault bike, maybe sprints on an incline outside, and they would be kind of my main ones. So we're gonna do about 20 seconds, which will probably be maybe a length. You can see that the track that I'm running on is probably about, I don't know, what would we say, 10 meters? Maybe? 8-10 meters?
Bigger than 20, yeah.
We'll see how long it takes to get down one length.
It seems like 15 to 18 meters.
So we might go down, stop, rest, push back. We'll see how long it takes. All right, so we're gonna go through this interval. I don't know how long it will take. I haven't put my phone on there. Might move. Should be sweet.
It's about getting up there, hey, in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
I reckon it'll be quite quick. I think it might be too light. That was about 15 seconds up and back. Oh, probably go a little bit heavier, but that was pretty much spot on. All we want to do and rest. I'm going to sit and recover. So that was an example of 3 different styles of HIIT. You can see I'm sweaty and I really only did 4 interval bouts. But obviously, like I said, make sure you stick to the one piece of equipment on the day as well, which is something I didn't mention before. So I showed you me doing all 3. Obviously, I would pick one of those and complete all of my reps on that machine or that movement pattern, and then maybe the next week try something a little bit different. Figure out what works for you, figure out what doesn't cause you injuries, what you feel good doing, what you can push really hard on is important as well. If there's too much technique involved or too much technical stuff, it's going to be really hard for you to just push and grind and get that done. So they are my 3 biggest tips for HIIT. Now the big one I see a lot with clients is they finish cardio, especially like HIIT in particular, and they just leave the gym. Now it's really important to do an efficient cool down when you finish. So for me, generally what I'll do when I finish my HIIT is stay on whatever machine I'm on. If it's the Prowler, I'll probably go jump on the treadmill and just walk for like 5-10 minutes, get that lactic acid a little bit moving out of your body, and then I'll finish with a few static stretches. So most of the time people will move away from static stretching. It's not great pre-training, but post-training is the best time to get it done. And you want to stretch the muscles you've just worked. So generally if you're doing any running or sprinting, you're going to be shortening and tightening your hamstrings and also your hip flexors. And then obviously your quads are going to be doing a fair bit of loading, so we want to stretch them out too. So I'm just going to do 3 simple stretches. You can do this in a little circuit and it'll probably take you 5 minutes. Hold each one for about 10-20 seconds and that is it. So we're going to start with the hip flexors. when you're doing this, make sure that you tuck pelvis under and just a gentle push forward. And add in a lower back stretch. And then we're gonna do the hamstrings. The worst shirt ever for stretching. And then what I like to do on the hammies is go to each leg. So bend and stretch to one side. And they'll also stretch the lower back out. And then we're doing the next two on the floor, which are two of my favorite glutes and quads. So this one's gonna be more for the quad, hip flexor. Go back as far as you can comfortably whilst feeling that stretch. You can go.
This is super painful though. I don't know how you do it. How painful is this?
That's painful. No, I'm tight.
You feel it like almost, I feel it like up into my abs.
Coming into my belly.
Yeah, into your belly and stuff.
And when you're hungry as well. Roll out of that one.
So don't just jack yourself up.
Don't.
No. How do you do that? Like, if you rolled around, you don't mind me asking questions?
I'm a little fancy. It's just a safer way to get up on my lower back.
Yeah, you're not going to put that pressure.
So we're going to go this way.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Just being graceful.
Okay. Ballet dancing.
Otherwise I'd be like...
Yeah. It's probably not good for your back either, hey?
Exactly. Trying to make it look like a ballerina. Okay, last one. Really, really good glute stretch. My fave. Try to keep this leg quite straight rather than having it tucked in here. Bring it out. And then you're going to try to stretch over and push your hips to the floor. And I'm very tight, so normally I can get my head on the floor.
I do this one on a bench as well.
It's good, isn't it? Feel it all through your glute and also a bit of piriformis and QL.
It's really painful.
I think the worst part of training is stretching.
But no one ever does it, especially guys. Guys especially, we don't want to do it. But it's so good, like, it's really good for you.
So, in terms of stretching, I tend to actually try to do more stretching when I'm prepping because you're training more. It's as simple as that. And if you don't want to get injured, you're going to be able to back your training up the next day, if you're going to be able to do HIIT cardio and do all of those things, you need to make sure that you're looking after your body. It's like going to the chiro. I'm probably going to the chiro about once a month at the moment. The chiro that I go and see is Josh Max at Walter Road Chiropractic. He is awesome. I will pop his details down below in the content section at the bottom. And he's actually a sports chiro, so he also does dry needling, tissue work. He doesn't just do adjustments, because I know a lot of chiros get a bad rap and that's what people think that they just do. But he makes sure that if I'm having an issue, like I can only feel one of my glutes firing and not the other, that's usually to do with something being tight or an imbalance, and he will sort that out for me. I have a lot of issues with my left trap not firing and my right does, so he does a lot of work on that as well. So guys, if you're gonna train hard, if you're gonna live this kind of health lifestyle, you've got to kind of make sure you're looking after all aspects, and that's nutrition, training, mobility work, recovery, sleep, water. There's so much to it. It's not just about getting into the gym and smashing your body physically, because it will break. And I learned that the hard way before getting injured. So now I think I'm getting old and I'm taking more care of my body, turning 30 next year. I know that's not old for anyone else watching over that age, but it is starting to feel it a little bit more. So guys, look after yourselves if you want to have longevity with your training. That is it for this vlog. That is it for this prep series. Next week, I will be keeping you updated, and then we're actually going to do a bikini fitting in a couple of weeks' time. I know I haven't really done a physique update or anything like that, but I will next week. I promise you there will be some updates there, and I'll be able to insert some progress photos and all of that sort of stuff, as well as throwing in some posing and other bits and pieces that I'll film on my own. But I hope you've been enjoying this content. Thank you again, Jackson, for all of the filming. It's been really, really good. And if there's anything you guys would like to see, please just comment below, give us a big thumbs up so that we know you're enjoying this content. And I'll see you next week.